For my first ever review on this channel, I'd like to review I Really Am Not the Lord of Demons. Cliche title, I know. This is a web novel in which I read up till chapter 62, where it ended at the time. It is now at chapter 64. They call them chapters, but they're really just more like parts in like a light novel. There's like 4 or 5 parts per chapter, being each of the chapters being 1,500 words long. This is a very unique web novel. Because imagine this is the protagonist's house. This is like the protagonist's guardian. That's the general concept. It's if everyone sees the protagonist of like a bookstore as an eldritch horror who has complete control over everything they do once they step into his realm. It is great. So the main protagonist, Ling Ping-an, is normal. Like, to him, he thinks that he's a normal dude. But everyone else sees him as this eldritch horror. And he's so, like, insane that other universes see him this way. So he, like, people from fantasy worlds will just go into this. From steampunk will just head into this bookstore. And he will see them, and he's normal. And to them, he's an eldritch horror. And he'll talk to them, giving them some basic advice, because he sees them as, like, downtrodden or whatever. And he'll give them this advice, and then give them a book. And the book he gives them is usually, like, some cheap knockoff garbage book. But to them, it's, like, some universe-shattering book that changes the entire scope of their world. Like, if the world had mana or something, it's a way to incorporate mana into, like, the air or something. But it's just so good, and it allows for lots of like unique interactions with the main character, because he never realizes he's like different. It's a bookkeeper novel. It's a trope. It's a niche trope. It does exist. There's some of them. It's the best one of them by like a very large margin. The best part are his interactions with others, like when he talks to them and they're like, how they hear him and how they revere him after like they hear his advice and they go through with all his advice. It's so satisfying to watch. Also very funny, because he gives chicken soup advice, like Soup for the Soul. If you haven't read that book, it's, you read in like first grade to give yourself some nice feelings. But basically he gives that advice and they mistake it for some other advice to like sacrifice or to do whatever, and you see them in their world progressing to like become the best of their world, and then they can come back to the bookstore to pay. It's just so good. The only issue is that it does jump the shark way later in the show, or in the web novel. It's really good up until then though, so you'll know when it happens, but even then, I think it like returns back to form after a little bit. Chapter 1 to 60 are found at webnovel.com. I'll leave a link in the description. The score they gave it was a 4.35 out of 10. I give it a 9 out of 10, which I don't really review things that high. Anyway, that's my first review. I heavily recommend it. Give it a try. It is only text though, so web novels have no images or anything like that. That's why I'm using stock footage of eldritch horrors, but it's really good. Give it a try.